WIFO-FM in Jesup. It is now time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by First Southern Bank, Van's Barbecue, Murphy Builder Supply, and by O'Quinn and Associates.
Hi, I'm Mandy Yeomans.
And I'm Raymond Brown with First Southern Bank. As your locally owned community bank, we're here to help our community grow. Our customers are why we are here. You can tell we want your business.
We offer all types of deposit products, personal and business. We have fast, efficient service, and yes, we have online banking too. I'm sure we have an account to fit your needs. Stop by or call us at 912-588-1010 and see how First Southern Bank can help you.
We're FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
When it comes to barbecue, Van's Barbecue in Jesup is the place to be. A small family-owned business located at 1876 on the Savannah Highway. Van's Barbecue has lunch and dinner specials. Stop by or call to make an order. The number to call, 427-3358. Van's Barbecue's new manager is Sarah Van. Van's Barbecue offers potato salad, coleslaw, baked beans, and don't forget their delicious mac and cheese. Also, check out their shrimp plates, the best in town. Yes, when it comes to barbecue, head to Van's Barbecue, locally owned and operated. Stop by and tell them the Big Dog sent you. Once again, the number to order, 427-3358.
Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jesup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jesup.
Are you looking for an insurance company that you can call and talk to a live person? Are you looking for an insurance company where you can walk in and talk to an agent? Are you looking for an insurance company that offers multiple companies so they can try and get you the best rate? If you said yes to any of these, then you need to call or come by O'Quinn and Associates Insurance Financial Services. We offer multiple companies so we can find the best fit for you. Give us a call at 385-1000 or stop by our office at 212 South Fair Street right here in Jesup.
The following is an exclusive presentation of Jesup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
World famous. The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
World famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio. And Bob, how's it going?
Going good.
Going good. Got your Georgia pullover hoodie on with a big G on it. Got your SEC football championship cap on, and you're getting ready for that big game on Saturday night.
Can't wait. Excited. Santa came through. Thanks to Santa, I'll be there, so.
Santa came through with his Georgia ticket there for Bob, and he's going to be there with all his red and black on there, especially red, because they encourage everybody to wear red. You got red pants?
No.
Not many of us do have red pants, Bob.
I red on, but I won't be wearing no red pants.
You won't be no red pants, huh? You can wear black pants or something, you know. Oh, but the big game coming up Saturday night there. You know, the third game this, I didn't think about that. It is the third game at Mercedes-Benz that Georgia will be playing in this year.
Yeah, they like playing in that dome. Well, so
yeah,
should be a good game Saturday.
Yeah, they've done very well in it. They whipped up on Oregon. They beat LSU, and now they're going to turn around and take on Ohio State there at Mercedes-Benz. Do you like that? Do you like that stadium? I haven't been in it yet.
Yeah, it's a nice stadium. It's just hard to get in. The security, you need to make sure you get there early because it takes a while to get through the security system.
Yeah.
So, a friend of mine that graduated with Georgia, he's up in Maryland. He's having a hard time getting a flight. He called yesterday. I said, "You going to be there?" He says, "I'm hoping to." He said, "But all these flights are being canceled." So,
well, hopefully by the end of the week things will be a lot better. So
he's stuck at the airport right now. Can't get a flight out of Maryland, Atlanta. So.
It's amazing. We're going to investigate. The government saying we're going to investigate all these delays. Well, no one wants the delays. No one wants delays more. That don't want the delays more than the airlines themselves. They don't want the delays. They don't want the headaches. They don't want all that extra expense of having to de-ice everything and reschedule everybody and pay everybody to go on a different flight. It's costing them a ton of money. But of course, in today's world, everybody's a victim. So, they're a victim of the airlines, which the airlines are a victim of Mother Nature.
sad story I saw yesterday. This lady, the big stories are losing their luggage.
Where's all the luggage
lady was
going?
looking for her luggage, and she had all her medication in the luggage. She was freaking out because she can't
find her luggage.
Medication, can't find her luggage. So
Yeah.
that's a nightmare. Everybody's been through that. That's no fun. So,
Yeah.
But I said I traveled for my niece's wedding, and like I said I just going to the airport security. That's just a nightmare. Just crazy.
Yeah, security there.
I
at the
don't
airport.
miss that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people have to do it. I wonder, some of these people, they travel all the time. I just wonder how they deal with that every day. That just a crazy nightmare.
Yeah. Well, the former owner of this radio station, who bought it in 1970 and it made my dad manager at the time in 1970, John Davidson, he sold syndicated TV shows up and down the East Coast. And he did that for, I think, for as long as I ever remember, okay? I think that since I don't know, forever. And him and his family were living in Atlanta, but he wanted to get into the radio business, so he bought the Jesup station in 1970. He moved down here, though. He moved down here and built a house out in Wayne Terrace, but he continued to sell syndicated TV shows. These are the shows that you see on between 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 p.m. in the evenings. All these syndicated shows. He sold, his company represented several of these distribution companies. And so he would fly out either on Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, be gone all week long, and then fly back in on Friday. And he did that for years and years and years. And one of his sons, Wally Davidson, who was, when they moved here, he was a junior, and I was a junior that year, so we became close friends and even roomed together at Georgia for our freshman year. I said, well, do you keep up where your dad's going? He said, well, I used to, he said, but it's hard to. So, John would fly out on Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, be gone all week long, and then fly back. And they kidded that they were going to make a room in their new house there look like a hotel room, because that's where he lived 4 or 5 nights a week, every single week.
Person I dealt with was Gary Davidson.
His son was the one you dealt with.
Ron.
Because Gary had taken over the stations by then.
He played baseball in North Carolina.
He did.
We got along pretty good. So, like I said, we had a come to Jesus meeting one time. They had a manager here that had to go. So I called him and said, either he goes or I go.
I
our station was going to go with that manager, but he finally pulled the trigger and got rid of the manager. So
yeah, I remember when Gary graduated from North Carolina and started working for Dad here at the radio station back in the early '70s, and worked here, and then I worked for Gary, in King Street when I graduated college. I went there to South Carolina and worked there for a year before I came here, and worked for Dad for 2 years. But then by the time that I became manager of the McRae station that John owned in 1979, Gary was running the radio group.
I wonder where he's at these days.
Someone told me he's still in South Carolina selling boats.
Selling boats. And hadn't heard or seen him in ages.
I hadn't seen or heard from him in forever. You wouldn't think he'd have to sell boats because, John had built a radio empire. John had built a cable empire. And all those got sold off, and the kids and the wife got all the. But I guess it keeps him busy. John, Gary was one of these hyper guys. He had to be moving all the time. He was a great athlete. He was go, and so I'm sure that he. But that's the last that I've heard from somebody who seemed to know that he was still in South Carolina somewhere selling boats.
Yeah, I got along with him pretty good. I said he was a sport.
Yeah,
I liked Gary.
Yeah, Gary was a sport. Yeah. And but I was around Gary for a long time at different John Davidson radio stations. But John in the mid '70s decided to get into cable, and he got he was trying to get the cable franchise for Skidaway Island, and it was he had never been in the cable business before, and he was up against some of these big boys. And you know how he got it? He promised them that he would move to Skidaway and oversee the construction, and he did. He sold his home here, and he moved to Skidaway Island, and that's where he started with his cable company and built 4 or 5 cable companies throughout Georgia and South Carolina.
And John Davidson was good friends with Kenny Bryan. That's why that's how I got to the radio station. Like I said, I quit my job at the cable company, and that was a crazy story, but needed a job, and Kenny Bryan says, "You want to work in radio?" I said, "Well, that's what I went to school for, basically. So he called John Davidson, and John Davidson set up the meeting with Dale Van Camford, and the rest is history.
Rest is history.
40-some years later. So
Yeah.
but
John.
thanks to Kenny Bryant and knowing John, because he did their books.
He did their books. He was their accountant.
So Kenny Bryant was able to broker that deal. So worked out.
John was a great guy. I respected him. I enjoyed working for him. He was one of the best, if not the best, salesperson I have ever met in my life. And he was just a good guy. And was good. You know, my dad was able to manage the station for him for many years before Dad and I got our own station up in Aiken, South Carolina, from 80 to 88.
My Toyota broke down coming back from the Sugar Bowl game after Georgia lost to Pitt, and I said, called back and said my car broke down, I'm gonna be late, and they were like, get on a bus. I was like, get on a bus. I got all my Sugar Bowl pictures in there, Herschel Walker, Joy Bland. I ain't doing that. I ain't leaving this vehicle. My whole life's in that vehicle. So my dad had to drive down there because the transmission was blown.
Oh boy.
I'll never forget that story. The guy comes out, the car salesman. My dad says, you got two choices. You can either get a new car or come back to New Orleans. I said, I can't afford a new car. He said, you're going to have to manage your money, da-da-da. I said, Dad, I can't afford a new car. I can't do this. He said, you're going to have to do it. So guy comes out and says, hey, you want to buy a new car? I said, yep, I guess so. He said, what kind you want? I want the cheapest one you got. He said, would that be this Toyota Tercel right here on this floor? You want to test drive it? I said, I ain't got time. I got to get back. I'm already late. So
Take long to test drive.
And he says, well, how are you going to pay for it? I said, that's a good question. I ain't got a clue. He said, well, your bank will finance it back in Jesup. I said, okay. So that's a great story. So we go in this office, and guy says, we got the number? I said, yeah, I got my ADB card right here. So they call back. He said, I'll be back in about 10 minutes. So he comes back with this bad look on his face, and he said, Mr. Morgan, he says, unfortunately, your bank in Jesup's not going to be able to finance your car. My dad was like, well, why the heck not? He says, well, there seems to be a little financial problem. He said, what's the financial problem? He said, well, Mr. Morgan here only has like $10.55 in his bank account. I said, heck, I could have told you that before you made the call. I took all my money to New Orleans to celebrate the Sugar Bowl. So my dad said, well, my bank will finance it. So they had to call back. And he, like I said, he was in New Orleans. By that time, there was they're like a different time zone. So had to wait another day. So my dad's just being real nice, taking me out, buying me steak dinners, telling me how I'm going to be able to afford this car. And I'm going, Dad, I can't afford this car. I'm just telling you, I don't make enough money. Anyway, drive back to the Toyota Tercel, back to the cable company. And he says, he's all upset, says, I was out looking for a job. I said, I ain't looking for a job. I know what a bum feels like, because I was on the side of the road. I didn't have any money. Called back to my mother. She said, what's the problem? I said, the car's just broke down. I said, luckily there's a Toyota dealership right here in Tallahassee. I said, right now it's in the garage, and I'm on the side of the road. I don't know what to do because I got no money. I spent all my money in New Orleans. She says, well, I don't know what to tell you. She says, your dad's going to be home in about an hour. Call back in an hour. So that's back when they had payphone. So I called back in an hour, tell my dad what's going on with the car. He says, he says, what's around there? I said, well, I don't know. And there's a McDonald's up the road. There's a motel. He said, what motel is there? I said, some Motel 6. Go up there. He said, tell him to call this number, collect. I'll get you a motel room. So I walked up there. Like I said, I looked like a bum because I left like at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to get back,
from the Sugar Bowl.
So anyway, the lady's real nice, gives me the room. So I get up there and get the room, She's trying to, make contact back. They won't even take my phone call. They're just mad because I'm not back at work. So I'm like, whatever. So finally I get back to work and, I tell them where I've been and tell them they can test drive the car. The car's out there. And he said, no, get to work. So I'm Henry Martin, and he's like, let's go, let's get to work. And I'm sitting there going, nah, I think I'm done with this job. I think I'm just going to go and the heck with this. So I walked back in there and told him, I said, I quit.
He walks out the door, huh?
He says, well, I need a letter of resignation. I said, well, I need my last check. So I went to Jamie Denny was working down there, and I said, can I borrow your, they had typewriters back then, so they borrow your typewriter? Yeah, if I typed up, I said, this is my letter of resignation. I resign, whatever. So I put in an envelope, handed it to him, handed him my check, walked across the bank, and Lonnie O'Quinn and Lynn Haas and all that, they were apologizing for not financing my car. I said, I told that idiot I could have told him I had $12.55 if I paid her I made the call. So I cashed my check, got in my new car, drove down to Emmeline and Hesse's, drank till I couldn't drink no more. walked along the beach and said to myself,
Stumbled along the beach.
I
huh?
said, what am I going to do? I got no job. I got this car that I can't afford. I said, this is going to be a mess. So I called my dad back the next day. He says, how's the car going? I said, well, we're going to have to take that car back. He said, why? You don't like it? I said, no, I can't afford it. He said, I told you we're going to finance your money. I said, well, I don't have a job. He said, what'd you do? He fired you? I said, no, I quit. He said, quit? You can't even get unemployment. I said, what's unemployment? So he said,
young and dumb.
He said, well, the good news is you got 3 months before that first car payment's made, so you better find you a job. So, like I said, Patty and Kenny Bryant were good friends of mine, and they invited me to dinner. I was telling them the story, and Kenny says, well, you want to work in the radio? I said, sure, that's where I started from. So he said, well, I'll set it up. So I come out here and met Dale Van Camper. I had told Dale, I was interested in the job, and Freddie Fry was working there, and Bill Hitchens and all them. Mm-hmm. So Dale says, he says, I'd love to hire you. He said, I've seen your work. He says, but I don't think you're going to stay. I think you're going to go to a bigger market. I said, bigger market? I said, look, I need a job. I got a car out there I can't afford. I got no job. I said, what do I got to do to get this job? He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll write up a contract if you stay at least a year and a half. He says, I'll hire you today. I said, well, write it up. So he wrote it up, and a year and a half turned into 40-some years.
40-some years later.
I'm still here.
You're still here.
But thanks to Kenny
Started
Bryant.
in 83 and you're still here.
Thanks to Kenny Bryant, I was able to, he knew John. Like they tell you, not what you know, it's who you know. So
That's
he
right.
was able to do.
Wow.
So, but that was a crazy story. But they wanted me to get on a bus, leave all my pictures of Herschel Walker and Joy and all. And I had a great
Just
time.
leave everything down.
So I'm not doing that. The heck with that.
Well, you didn't get fired.
No, I quit.
You quit.
Yeah. I didn't know if you quit, you don't get unemployment.
No,
I didn't
they
know what
have to fire you to get unemployment.
I didn't have at that time. I didn't have. I'm telling you, I know what a bum feels like. Like I said, because that car was in the garage and I'm standing on that side of the road. I got
nowhere to go.
I got like $2 in my pocket
and 10 in the bank and checking account,
and $12.50 in the bank. And I'm like, at least that lady at the motel was nice because I looked like I had it shaved. Wearing just a T-shirt and a pair of pants. Like I was like, I need you to call this number collect because my dad's going to get me a motel room. So he got it. So it worked out.
Good.
And I
All worked out, and you're still here. It's 83 when you started, right?
I still got all my pictures of the Herschel, and that was great. Even though we lost the game, it was a great Sugar Bowl. So.
Marino ripped our hearts out there that last play of the game.
Like I said, I got to introduce Joy to my folks. Like I said, she came out there, and like we stayed and went to the. That's why we were late. We stayed Sunday to watch the Saints and
you did stay
and
Sunday?
the Falcons because Lindsey Scott had just signed with the Saints, so we went to see Lindsey in the Superdome. So I had all planned out. Henry didn't come to work till 12 o'clock anyway, so I figured if I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and drove straight from New Orleans to Jesup, I'd be there by 12 noon. But unfortunately, the car broke down in Tallahassee, and the rest is history.
Yeah,
that was a nightmare. But I know what it's like to be stranded on the side of the road. And then, like I said,
no money in your pocket. At least you had a dad in New Orleans to help you out.
That salesman was. I feel my dad had to take off work. He came to the rescue. He came down from New Orleans and
all the way to Tallahassee.
All the way to Tallahassee, and told me I had a choice. I can either get a new car or get back in the car with him and go back to New Orleans. So
you got the new car.
So I got the new car.
Speaking of Joy Bland there, I remember a magazine came out when she was, twirling for Georgia, and I can't remember if it was the Georgia magazine or if it was Red and Black. I can't remember what it was, but it said nothing bland about this Joy.
Right. Like I said, she worked at Cape. They would hire a girl like her to do the weather. Like I said,
for what?
For Cable 6.
For Cable 6.
I did the news, Henry did the sports, and then they'd hire weather, They had her one year. They had Terry Thomas one year.
Okay.
I can't remember. They had several other. Like every summer they would hire a
somebody.
girl. Yeah. So Joy came
Get
in
an
there.
intern come in and
got to meet her. So.
Yeah.
But I wanted to meet. Like I said, she was going to be in New Orleans, so I wanted my family to meet her. So she came and met my family. So they still remember her. Like I said, she leaves a lasting impression. She's a good girl.
Yep, definitely.
So, but. Like I said, I had all these pictures. They say she was down on the sidelines with, had a press pass, and I had all these pictures of her and Herschel and all that. Still got that picture of her and Herschel together. So, but they wanted me to get in the bus and leave all that stuff, and I said, I ain't doing that. Those are treasured moments right there. So anyway, that was a crazy story. But I said, that's how I got here.
Well, it all worked out.
All worked out.
All worked out.
41 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah, recent college graduate, and now you're over 60.
But that's how I got. That's how I got to Jesup Broadcasting, thanks to Kenny Bryant. So I tell people all the time, if you want to blame somebody, blame Kenny Bryant. If you don't like Bob Morgan, blame Kenny Bryant. Because if it wasn't for him, I probably would have been gone. I would have gone somewhere. But thanks to my good friend Kenny, I'm still here.
Oh boy!
And he's been like a second daddy to me. So, like I said, love him to death.
Well, you made quick friends with him then, because you'd only been here for about a year or so, right?
Well, the JCs. I was in the JCs.
You were JCs,
Yeah. So I said, and Patty was always cooking. So I tell people I got to Jesup, I was 110 between Patty Bryant's and Jones's Kitchen and Sybil's. So now I weigh 210. So
Bob is twice the man he used to be.
They put 100 pounds on me. Because Jones's Kitchens were, when I worked at KO, that Saturday, man, when they opened them doors, I was in there and made sure I got all I could get.
Just fill it up.
Fill it up, and went home and watched football.
Don't know where supper's coming from, so we eat a bunch of lunch.
I had to spend all day Saturday doing laundry, and I told myself, if I ever get to the point where I don't have to do laundry, I'm never going to do laundry again. So now I dropped my laundry off, so I don't do laundry.
You don't do laundry anymore?
Because I used to sit there every Saturday and spend hours and hours.
Oh my God, how many clothes a week did you wear?
You had to you had to do it all. Yeah. It was hard. It was just crazy.
Gee.
But I sat in that laundromat for hours thinking, what am I doing? I said, I ain't doing this. I said, if I ever get to the point where I don't have to do laundry, I will not be doing laundry. So I don't do laundry anymore. They got that nice service that Sean O'Quinn's got.
Yeah, Soap and Suds.
I just drop it off.
Just drop and let them do it. Yeah.
And they do a
Today is Wash Wednesday.
They do a great job. Yeah, discount Wednesdays. Yeah.
Discount Wednesdays. Wash Wednesday.
They
Soap and Suds
do
on First Street.
You can't beat it. They wash it. Wash it,
fold it,
put it on
there.
Yeah.
All you got to do is take it home and put it in your drawers.
That's been doing it for years.
I've used them many times when I've gotten behind.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah. All right. I was just looking at the power rankings for the NFL teams, and no surprise, the Philadelphia Eagles are on top, even though they did lose to Dallas. You got Philadelphia with the top power ranking, and then the Cincinnati Bengals, which is surprising. They've really moved up. And Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, San Francisco 49ers, then the Dallas Cowboys in the top 6 there.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And then after them, Dallas is the Los Angeles Chargers. They're 9-6.
Where's the Cowboys at?
Cowboys are 6. Cowboys are 6. And then 7 is Los Angeles Chargers, which they're ahead of the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings are 12-3. But these are power rankings here. And then Baltimore is 10-5. Jacksonville Jaguars in the top 10 at 7-8.
Jaguars still got a chance to win the division.
They sure do. They're half a game ahead. They're a half a game ahead. Yeah. They're leading the division right now over Tennessee. They're in first place in the division.
That's good.
They could host a playoff game, Bob.
That'll be good. Pittsburgh's still alive. They're not dead yet. So.
They're not dead yet?
No. They won a big game New Year's or Christmas Eve against the Raiders. 50th anniversary of Franco Harris' Immaculate Reception. That's sad. He was supposed to be there, but then passed away. I said,
we were supposed to be there.
We ran in. A lot of people went on the train to that bowl game, Grayson Lambert's last bowl game when Georgia played Penn State. And still got those pictures of me and Franco. And I said, we ran into Franco Harris coming out of that stadium. And you talk about a nice guy. I mean, we had about 15 people that took a train down there to that game. And he stood and took pictures for 10, 15 minutes. It was funny. I was decked out on my Georgia stuff. He's, of course, a big Penn State fan. And I recognized him coming towards us, and I ran up to him, and I said, Franco, man, I said, I'm the biggest Pittsburgh Steelers fan in the world. I got to get my picture taken with you. He said, how can you be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan with all that red and black on? I said, well, I'm a transplant.
I grew up in Pittsburgh.
That's right. I said, I was there for the Immaculate Reception. I said, I got to get it saved. But he was just as nice as could be. I mean, he must have stayed there 10, 15 minutes taking pictures with everybody, so still have those pictures. So just a great guy. But I said, true, just a legend in Pittsburgh. So.
Yeah, Fox NFL Sunday had a great piece on him, and they started off with just Kurt and Terry talking, and Kerry giving his, his thoughts and feelings about Franco Harris, nicest guy there is, and just all this kind of stuff like that. It was just a very moving piece between Kurt and Terry on Fox NFL Sunday.
Yeah. I said, that was a great play. I said, one of the greatest plays in NFL history.
Well, that started the whole run
It's
there
still
for,
the
for
debate,
Pittsburgh.
right? It's got us on that Super Bowl run, but it's still the debate whether or not it touched Frenchie Fuqua. If you watch it's hard to believe it touched Frenchie because Frenchie's going upfield. Atkinson's coming this way, and the way the ball ricocheted. I mean, I don't believe it hit Frenchie Fuqua. I think Atkinson definitely hit the ball.
And it doesn't look like it hit the ground at all because the way he grabbed it, it didn't look like it bounced in any direction. It was just a straight grab.
I don't think it hit the ground. I mean, they still argue about that, but
it doesn't matter what it is. It happened. It's history.
It's history.
50 years ago.
Great play. Still remember it like it was yesterday. But like I said, that's just got Pittsburgh off and rolling. Won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. So.
Well, see, all during
Great
that
memories.
time period, I was a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was pulling for the Cowboys to win the Super Bowls and all that. Yeah, I was
saying that Terry Bradshaw was so dumb he couldn't spell cat if he spelled the C and the T.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Bradshaw didn't like that. I mean, I didn't realize it affected him.
You know, he did interview Henderson later on when he was on TV.
But at the time, they didn't think much of it. But years later, Bradshaw talked about how that really bothered him.
It did?
Yeah.
Wow.
It just fueled him. And
all he has to do is look down his hand for the 4 Super Bowl rings. Yeah. I mean, who's got the 4 Super Bowl rings, Henderson or Terry?
And that team was built on defense. Gosh, that defense was so good. With Joe, Steel Curtin, Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, Mel Blount, all those guys in the Hall of Fame. So this had a great run. Nowadays with free agency, that never happens again.
No, you can't do it with free agency.
Can't assemble that kind of talent anymore. So crazy.
Not for long. Maybe for 2 or 3 years, and that's about it. Yeah. And all of them are rookie contracts, just about.
Crazy stuff.
All right, anything else going on, Bob?
I just want to remind you, we got J-Bo in tomorrow. Like I said, I had a chance to talk to him yesterday. Coach Shaw's going to come in and talk about all the kids that made the all-region team, recap the great season. Again, still can't, just that's a great story. Talk about one of the greatest stories of the year 2022 is for a team that goes 0-10 or 0-9 to turn around and go 10-3 and make it to the Elite Eight. I mean, what a job!
What a story!
What a job Coach Shaw and his staff did. So, future looks awfully bright to finish in the top 6. This past year, like I said, the sky's the limit. So, be curious to see what all's taking place and how excited he is for next season.
Okay. Well, Bob, have a good day.
Look it up.
All right, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO, brought to you by First Southern Bank, Van's Barbecue, Murphy Builder Supply, and by Oak Quinn & Associates.